Hey everyone, it's Christian from Quantum Marketing, and today I'm going to be going over the Audience tab in Google Analytics. This is the tab that pulls up the location, the age, and the gender of the user that are entering your website, and I'm just going to show you some of the reports that I look over when I'm trying to evaluate my website metrics. So let's get started. Alright, so starting off in the Audience tab is the Overview section. Now this is the most common. People are just going to, click on this and then just see some few stats and numbers here, and it's not going to really tell you that much. I think language, this doesn't really help you. Most of your websites are going to be based on one language. If you are international, then maybe it'll be helpful, but you'll probably already know the majority of where your audience is actually coming from, depending on where you're advertising or where your traffic sources are, your website's posted, and stuff like that. So we're actually just going to skip over this overview, and one of the main tabs that I want to demonstrate is the demographics. So right here, you have overview, age, and gender of the tab. The overview can give you a simple view of it, the two tables shown here. But really, I think the best way that I go into it is I'm going to click on the gender tab here. And what you're going to see here is, all right, you got the male and female side of things. Let's actually, extend this date range. Let's just do all of April. This is also the Google Merchandise Stores data. We're not using any of our personal clients' data because of privacy reasons and so on and so forth. But this is just as well as that as any. So we're going to see here the data of April. So we have a male and female. It's an e-commerce store, so we can see males have about 6 purchases, females have 4. So with that, we can't really determine, there's a better gender. But what's a really good thing about adding to this report is the secondary dimension tab. So secondary dimension really just adds another layer into the categorization in the table itself. So right here, you're just going to search up age. And now the table is actually going to show you gender and the age group. So now we can get a better sense of which gender and then what age group of each gender is actually performing the best. As you can see here, the first two ones I see right on the top is going to be 25 and 34 age group. So that gives me an idea that, well, in my advertising channels or, in my content writing and whatever I'm posting about, I want to show up in front of the age groups 25 to 34 because those are, the age group that's most likely to buy from me right now. That I can just, a quick checkup on here in the front end. So male, 2 purchases, female, 1 purchase from 25 to 34. And since they're already at the top, I know that's the biggest, that's the largest user base I have for my website. And it just gives you kind of a sense to better look over your website of the gender and age groups that are entering. Another tab I want to show you in the audience section is going to be the geo tab. So more specifically the location tab, the language one we kind of discussed earlier in the overview tab. But the location tab, it's going to show you initially a list of countries depending on how many different places your users are coming from. If you have some from different countries, then it's going to show up in this tab. If not, it'll automatically direct you going into the region of your country. For this case, we're going to use the United States. We know Google is based out of California, so let's see what the results showing up from there. Again, this is a date frame April 1st to April 30th. So we're going to see California actually has the most revenue transactions on the website. So we can see $502 coming in from California, and that kind of tells me where I want to put my money or my resources really in. I want to get more audience from California because I know they're making the most transactions. It appears the most revenue out of the top 10 states at least. We don't know, if there's another state out there that maybe one transaction, it could have just been, almost $1,000 worth of merchandise. So this kind of gives you an idea of where you should be placing your resources in. In Facebook ads, you can make a whole new ad set dedicated to California, and it'll really just show, hey, I want to put more budget into California because I know the audience there is bringing in more revenue for me. Or you can do Google Ads, you can make bid adjustments on your campaign. And, if a user comes in from California, I want to increase my bid by 10% because I know they're maybe more likely to buy from me. Maybe, Google offers better free shipping rates to California residents because they're already located so close. There could be a bunch of things, you need to know your website in and out to understand how to view this data and interpret it into a proper way. Once you go into more, you can go into more detailed sources and click on California where we're able to see the actual cities that are performing best. So for example, right here, I can see San Francisco is first. But let's base this off of transactions actually, because I do see one other one that has 2 transactions. All right, so San Francisco and then Santa Clara. So these both have 3 transactions. The user count is a lot less in Santa Clara compared to San Francisco, about half of what San Francisco brought in. And the revenue is a little bit less on the Santa Clara side compared to San Francisco, but you can use this data. Obviously, it's a small sample set. This isn't, you don't base a lot of drastic changes off of this, but really seeing the difference between this is Santa Clara has a higher conversion rate. If it took 230 users and you got the same amount of conversions as you did from 500 users, then the conversion rate is going to be a lot better in Santa Clara, and maybe you would consider spending more money in Santa Clara compared to San Francisco. The reality is, though, this is a small sample set. We're not viewing 6 months worth of data, 8 months worth of data. There's no clear definite winners here, but you could look over your ad campaigns and where you're investing resources in to bring traffic from these two cities. These two cities look like they're going to be prominent and just bring you more transactions and more revenue overall, and you'll be more efficient in building up your ROAS. And now going to another tab, the mobile tab, actually, in the audience section. Now, you would think it's kind of confusing. It's labeled as mobile, but the reality is it actually covers all the devices that anyone's using to enter your website. The reason why I love this so much is because it'll split them up by desktop, mobile, and tablet. And the reason why you like these split up is because there's different resolution sizes. Each user on these different devices is going to be viewing your website in a different manner. If your website is responsive, their mobile is going to be a lot, maybe drastically more different than the desktop version, and that can affect, the conversion rate, or just the mental idea behind someone sitting behind a computer or someone just on the go on their phone. It could be either way, and once they visit your website, you can kind of see a clear difference, as we're going to see right here in the transactions column. Desktop has about 17 transactions. But also the highest user base. So we know, wow, we have a lot of users coming from desktop, but only 17 transactions compared to mobile, where they have 11,000 users, which is, there's a third of desktop users, but they have almost 2 times more transactions compared to the normal desktop users. So already we can tell our conversion rate is going to be an extreme difference, and it shows right here 0.04% compared to 0.29%. So definitely off the bat, this is without viewing a lot more deeper into maybe there's something on my desktop website I can change. Maybe there's maybe there's something a coupon or code that's maybe only applying on mobile, or I'm doing advertising channels on there. But from the front end side, I would immediately go to my ad campaigns and go in and say, hey, let's reduce our budgets on the desktop campaigns. Let's make let's make Facebook only target mobile ads. Let's make our Google ads reduce budget if we're splitting by device. Let's put more budget into the mobile compared to the desktop, because we're getting a lot more conversions off of mobile. And some people can argue maybe by revenue style, maybe desktop is still making more money even though with less transactions. Well, here we see, mobile is making $2,000 compared to desktop, which is making about $1,000. So now we even know there's also a higher revenue model on mobile compared to desktop. We're making more money on mobile, so there's definitely going to be definitely going to want more resources on your mobile and bringing in users onto your website from their mobiles. What we also see here is actually the behavior metrics are a lot different comparing the two. Mobile has about a 51% on bounce rate. Desktop is a 48%. That's actually not too much of a change. But in session duration, we have about 2 minutes on mobile, whereas desktop has about 3 minutes. And there's a lot more users on desktop. So that means a lot more people are spending time on the website, but they're still not buying. So this would also give you a chance to say revisit your website in a desktop mode and kind of see maybe where you can alter and make changes to make sure that your website is 100% optimized for desktop viewing. Because this is a lot of lost profit, and what you could have been making, you really might have just lost just because your desktop website has either something wrong with it. Maybe a checkout process is kind of bugged for some users, and it's a lot harder to finish the checkout process. So this is going to give you a chance to give a sense to your website, check it out, and if everything does look fine, then it's time to reevaluate where your resources are going, because you're going to want to be bringing them from different sources. All right, and that's going to cover, much of the audience tab. Those are the reports that I use when I'm trying to review over my website metrics. And if I really want to get a sense of who's being on my website, that's kind of, the total of what audience tab covers. It's about who's entering your website, what they're, you can find out in the other tabs, like, what they're doing, if they're converting, if they're becoming customers and stuff like that. We're going to be making more videos soon to cover the rest of the tabs, so be sure to stay tuned and stick around. Thank you.